Yeah, what up everybody, it's Animation K. Welcome to part 1 to What If Deku Was Iron Man. And now, let's get to the intro.
I'm not the one you wanna fuck with. Late nights messing up my sleep, so I'm flustered. Taking out aggression with my pen because I trust it. Right in front of get myself a lamb color cuss for the game. Leave him hanging by his chain. Click bang, feeling rage, feeling fire in my brain, feeling sane. And it's slowly feeling flames with the spark from my brain. Bringing more, please still, no glory.
Okay guys, before we start, I need to give you a shout out, or I need to give a shout out to someone who I got this idea from. Sir Plotalot, that is the person I got this idea from, and it's entirely different. The only thing that is going to be similar is the regeneration therapy that Deku basically develops in this story. He also used this regeneration therapy to heal All Might in his What If series. That is going to be a spoiler, but I just asked him on Discord and YouTube, can I use that regeneration therapy idea in my What If series, but I still haven't got a reply yet, so I'm going to put it to the side. I'm not going to use the regeneration therapy in my videos yet until I get a confirmation or an answer from him. And yeah, let's move on. This is going to be totally different because in his What If series, Deku actually was born with a quirk. In this one, Deku's quirkless, because this time I'm not really surprised because nobody's actually created a What If series where Deku does achieve his goal, becomes the first quirkless hero, and proves everybody wrong that quirkless people can become heroes. I mean, Wu did do that, but he never really made him a hero yet. I mean, Deku's gonna be a vigilante in this one. Not for long, because only up to the age where he's planning on becoming a hero and he's going to UA. He's gonna stop doing his vigilante work until he gets to UA. So he is gonna be that mysterious Iron Man who's in charge of the Stark corporations, and nobody knows what's the Stark corporations owner or CEO is, and they don't even know if he's like 12 years old, 20 or 30, 40, 50 years old. So he's gonna be a mystery, and soon Deku is gonna do a face reveal. Yeah, and yeah, basically let's get into the story. So yeah, go to Sir Plotalot's channel. It's gonna be in the description below. You can go there, subscribe to him, and if you want to see What If Deku Was Iron Man, his version, so you can go see it on his channel and support the dude. He is amazing, and I really like his What If series. I've been watching his videos for like 2 days, maybe 3 days for now, maybe even 1 week. So he's really good and he's really underrated, so go subscribe to him. And yeah, let's get to the story. So Deku is born. His name is not going to be Izuku Midoriya. This time his mom's name is going to be Midoriya, but his father's name is going to be Howard Stark. Not the Iron Man series or the Iron Man comics in this My Hero Academia world is going to be the thing that inspires Inko Midoriya to make his son's name Tony Stark. In this My Hero Academia universe, Tony Stark doesn't have the last name Stark. It's gonna be Park or something like that, something else from Stark, because Deku's family name is Stark, so it can't be that. And the Tony, or the first name, his first name is gonna derive from the Iron Man comics in that universe, and that is gonna be basically give the motivation to Inko Midoriya to give that name to their child Tony Stark. And it's basically Deku and or Izuku Midoriya, but this time his name is going to be Tony Stark, and he is going to be a playboy like Tony Stark in the actual or Marvel universe. So he is going to be like him, and he's going to be going with all the girls, and he's going to be a playboy, and yeah. But he's still going to be nice. He's going to be that nice Deku, but he's going to be that rich billionaire Deku who all the girls love. And he's not gonna get a harem. He's not gonna get a harem. He's gonna be a hero. He's gonna be a vigilante. Then he's gonna study to be a hero. Then he is gonna be a hero. And yeah. So Inko Midoriya is really inspired by the Iron Man comics, because the Iron Man comics is really old, but she was inspired because she wants to know how people thought what powers were before quirks existed. So the Iron Man comics existed or was published before quirks ever existed. So she wanted to know what the people thought of powers and how they would have thought if they actually existed, and she was surprised to know that this modern day is actually really similar to the Iron Man or Marvel universe. So the most biggest motivation she had to basically give Deku the Tony Stark name because she basically thought Izuku Midoriya is whenever I think of Izuku Midoriya, I see a really timid child who's scared of the world and doesn't really know how to live in it. And when she hears Tony Stark, she basically sees Iron Man and basically protecting everyone, helping everyone with his knowledge and smarts and genius. And basically that is the person that she wants her son to be, so she gives him the name Tony Stark. And he is also going to be the person who starts the Stark Corporation. Howard Stark didn't do that, his father didn't do that, and he's just working for a company, not Stark Corporations. It will be funny because if Howard Stark somehow ends up in Stark Corporations and doesn't even know that his son is actually in charge of his company that he's working at. So that would be pretty funny, and I might do that. But let's actually move on. So Deku's about 4 years old. He's going to the quirk doctor to see if he has a quirk. Doctor basically tells him, it's not happening, kid, you don't have a quirk. And he's like shocked, but he's like, who cares, I'm smart, I can create a suit just like Iron Man and I'll be able to be a hero. So he doesn't really care if he doesn't have a quirk. I'm smart and that's the only power that I need. So in this timeline, Deku doesn't really hang out with Baku. I mean, he does have a strong quirk, and he does see potential in Baku to become a really great hero one day, but he just doesn't like the kid. He's like a bully and he doesn't want to hang out with him. So he doesn't really hang out with Bakugo. And even if his parents are friends, they still don't hang out. It was like, oh yeah, Bakugo, whatever. He's that kid who my mom is friends with his mom and whatever. I don't really care about him. And he just hangs out with girls all the time, basically chatting with them, flirting with them and stuff like that. And Bakugo just thinks, oh, he's just a nerd who's flirting with girls and stuff. And both of them have respects for each other because Bakugo thinks, oh, okay, he's like one of the smartest people I ever know. He's smarter than adults and I respect him for that. And Deku basically thinks that he respects Bakugo because he has a really strong quirk and he has the potential to become a really great hero, but he doesn't like him because he's a bully and uses his quirk for evil. So one day, basically, Deku is hanging out with girls and he basically sees Bakugo hit a random kid with his explosion hands, and he's just basically bullying him with his goons behind him. And then he's like, okay girls, wait a second, I'll be back. And he basically takes out this box that has a red button on it. He presses it, it turns into a handgun, freezing handgun by the way, and he basically shoots Baku in the hands, legs and feet, completely stopping him wherever he is, stops him from using his quirk, and also stops him from moving because his feet are stuck by the ice into the ground. And his minions like, oh crap, let's get out of here, and basically ditches him. And Bakugo's like, what are you doing, nerd? And he's like, I'm stopping you from bullying this kid because you're using your quirk for evil. He's like, what? I'm gonna be the #1 hero, better than All Might. And better than All Might with that kind of personality? Sorry Bakugo, but that's not gonna happen. And then he basically says, I'm gonna be the #1 hero with my technology. And then he's like, Bakugo's basically laughs. He's like, haha, do you really think you're gonna be the #1 hero when you're quirkless? He's like, I have brains, I'm smarter than anyone on this planet, and I'm pretty sure about that. And knowledge is power, and with this knowledge I created a weapon that can stop you easily, no matter how strong your quirk is. And then Deku basically goes to the kid that he was bullying and basically picks him up and dusts him off. He's like, are you okay, kid? He's like, oh yeah, thanks Tony. And he basically runs off, and then Deku pulls out another box, presses it, and turns into a flamethrower, and he melts the ice on Bakugo, and he's like, okay, you get the hell out of here. And Bakugo's like, he scarfs and basically goes away to find his minions and to hang out with them. And all the girls are like cheering, ooh, Tony! I'm never gonna do that, I'm sorry. So let's skip over, or give a time skip, and Deku is, he does get a name, Deku, because Bakugo basically realizes that he's pretty strong and he's nerd, so he does give him the name Deku and he calls him that. But Tony basically says, okay, how about this, I'll give you a nickname too, Butterfingers, because Bakugo has to sweat on his palms to basically create explosions to ignite the sweat. So he's like, okay, Butterfingers, whatever, see ya. So they basically give each other nicknames, and they kind of hate each other, but they still respect each other for their strengths and weaknesses and stuff. So 7 years old, Tony Stark, and he basically like, okay, I'm running out of garbage from the beach, and All Might does see or notice this little kid with a desk on the beach trying to create something with the trash over there, and he's like, interesting, see ya. And he basically goes over and says like, what are you doing, kid? And he's in his like skinny form. He's never seen anyone like that. So and he doesn't want to scare the kid because he's All Might and stuff. So he's like, oh, what are you doing, old man? And he's like, no, what are you doing, kid? He's like, oh, I'm just creating something with all this trash because it's basically here and I can use it. So why not? So All Might's surprised, like, wow, this kid's actually doing community service and actually helping himself out. Interesting. Anyways, kids, see ya. And All Might goes away and he's surprised by the kid and he remembers him and he doesn't really ask his name because he's not that important. So he goes away. Deku basically fiddles around with this garbage and then he basically gets angry. He's like, this garbage isn't important anymore. I mean, I can't use it. It's just garbage. I can't do anything with it now. I need real materials. I need to buy it. But for that, I need money. So he's like, what do I do? Let's think. And he basically goes to his house and goes to his desk and he's like looking at his computer. He's like, what do I do? I need to find a solution. I'm smart. I have the knowledge of the entire world here. I need to use it in the best way I can. He starts thinking of Star Corporations. Star Corporations. I can create that company. But how do I do it? And he starts researching how to create a company and does that. And a week later, he launches his company, Star Corporations. They create technology based on daily living and basically helping the environment, creating machines that basically take down garbage and basically destroy it and use it for good parts and creating better things. And then they also start creating another company underneath Star Corporation, because Star Corporation is like a big company that looks over all these different smaller companies that do different things. So one company basically utilizes garbage and basically turns it into something useful, and then the other company basically creates hero gear that helps the hero industry and UA, and basically they have a connection between them. People are all over the internet wondering who is the CEO of Star Company. Now, let's get another time skip. He does have a medical technology center. They do high level technology, stem cell research, all that, and they actually do groundbreaking medical technology, and they do that and they're pretty famous. I'm not gonna put in the regeneration therapy that Sir Plotsalot did. After I get his permission, then I might actually add it but right now they do some groundbreaking technology of medical technology and they're known for that. And All Might sees this like, yeah, they're useful, they might be able to heal it, but I don't think that the equipment they have can heal this yet. So Deku does get questioned by his last name because it's similar to the Stark Corporation's name, and he's like, do you have any connection to the Stark Corporation? He's like, oh no, it's just a coincidence. And he basically goes up to Baku and he's like, because this is his last day in the school, because he's too smart for this government school or whatever and this lame ass school, so he needs to go to a smarter genius school which they can actually utilize his smartness. So he basically goes up to Baku and tells him his secret. He's like, I'm creating a suit that can help me become stronger, become a hero. I'm gonna wait for you because you have great potential, Baku, with that quirk. I know you can become a hero. I'll wait for you in UA. And can you keep a secret? I'm gonna tell you something. And he's like, whatever, Deku, tell me. I won't tell anyone. And he's like, I am the CEO of Stark Corporation. He's like, what? No way, you're lying. He's like, of course I am. I am the CEO of Stark Corporations. I'm going to a different house now, and that's why I'm moving, and I'm going to genius school so I can utilize my genius. So I want you to keep the secret, and one day I'm gonna reveal my face and tell everybody that I am the CEO of Stark Corporations. So wait for me, Bakugo, and we're gonna become heroes together. So Baku is like, I don't know if you're telling me the truth, but since you're the smartest person I know you are probably the Stark Corporation CEO. So I'm gonna believe you, and I know you can become a hero. Anyways, see ya. And Baku is the only person he's actually told that he's the CEO, except for his parents. They know. He's like, what? Why didn't you tell us? He's like, oh, sorry, I just wanted to keep it a secret, and now I'm telling you guys. And the reason why I'm telling you this is I need a secretary. This is too much work, too much business work, and it gives me a lot of headaches, and I need to work on my inventions, not on my business. So I need a secretary, and she's about to basically come for dinner, so you guys can probably prepare something. And she'll also gonna know that I am the Star Corporation CEO. So the secretary comes in and basically goes inside, meets Inko Midoriya. He's like, oh, hello, and basically meets Howard Stark. He's like, oh, you must be the Star Corporation CEO. Oh, no, that's my son. And he's like, your son? You look pretty young. Wait, how old is your son? And he basically walks out. Tony Stark, nice to meet you. I'm 12 years old. He's like, No, not 12 years old. 7 years old, by the way. No, not 7 years old. 12 years old. Sorry, I messed that up. Anyways, I'm 12 years old, Tony Stark, nice to meet you, I'm the CEO of Stark Corporations. And she basically sits down, understands the situation, is like, oh, I didn't expect the CEO of the, probably one of the biggest medical tech, environmental technology, and hero suit technology companies to be a 12-year-old child. No offense, by the way. And he basically makes her sign a contract that she's not allowed to tell his identity, or if she's actually the Tony Stark's assistant, or Stark Corporation CEO's assistant. And basically, whenever Deku's in meeting, he creates like this suit where it's like a biker suit and it's silver, and it's not the Iron Man suit. It doesn't have any flight capabilities, just for walking, making him look taller and making him look like a man. So he wants to hide his identity from his co-workers and whoever works for him. So the only person who does know his identity is the secretary, and she's not allowed to tell anyone. So Deku's parents and Deku is basically loaded. They're like billionaires. They live on this giant building. There's a house on top of this giant, like 100-story building, and the first 50 floors, or no, 20 floors are only restricted for the Stark family. And yeah, so they're pretty loaded. Deku's rich. He goes to another school. He actually goes to Ida's school. Ida's school is like for geniuses. They're for like smart people who work really hard, and Ida is one of them. So Deku and Ida actually know each other. Then 1 year later, Deku basically, or the CEO of Stark Corporation, actually brings out the a conference. All media is there, basically asking questions to him, and then he basically comes out with his suit and then turns it off, and he basically shows his face, and he's like, "Hi, I'm Tony Stark. I am 13 years old, and I'm the CEO of the Stark Corporations." And he basically does a face reveal, and everybody knows that the Stark Corporation CEO is actually a little kid or teenager who is basically young, and his name is Tony Stark, and his father is Howard Stark, mother, all this stuff. And they ask him about his quirk, and then he's like, "Well, I'm quirkless." And he's like, everybody's shocked. He's like, "What? He's quirkless?" And then they basically ask, "Are you sure? I mean, don't you have like a intelligence quirk or something that boosts your intelligence?" Like, "No, I am just a genius by brain. I mean, I'm just normally smart. That's not something normal." Anyways, so I don't really have a quirk, nothing. I'm diagnosed quirkless, and it's in my medical records. And yeah, I'm quirkless, but I hope that doesn't really affect anyone. And I just want to help people with my medical technology, help the environment with my environmental technology, and my hero equipment technology, which helps other heroes to become better and saving people. So that's why I'm basically doing this. This is my own way, like a quirkless person can become a hero. Now, of course, Deku doesn't really want to do that because he actually does want to be a hero, so that's why he's working on his suit secretly. And he still needs to figure out some kinks. He's already on like his Mark III, because he still doesn't need to, he knows there's a power source, but he needs to find it. So he basically scans through the internet. He finds this oh, and by the way, this is after the conference. So everybody knows that the CEO of Stark Corporation is Tony Stark, and he's 13 years old, and he's a billionaire. He's probably one of the richest people in the world. So the whole internet's going crazy over this news, and then he's just working on the internet and basically finds this nuclear reactor, powered reactor in France, and they're working on it, and he was like, maybe that is the source that I need. But they say that they haven't figured out how to utilize it, and it's unstable. So he's like, maybe I can solve that. And he basically calls in his secretary. He's like, okay, I need you to book a flight for tomorrow morning, and for France, and notify this France company that I'll be visiting them to see their nuclear reactor. So yeah, and she's like, okay, tomorrow morning your flight would be ready. Okay, see ya. And he's basically working on his next suit. He's like, okay, let's do the paint job. Looks at Iron Man comics again. He's like, okay, yellow and red, put that on. And Jarvis is like, okay, sir, that would take, your suit will be finished tomorrow morning, approximately after you return from your France visit. He's like, okay, thanks, Jarvis. And he did create Jarvis when he actually moved into his house, he was like 7 years old. He created Jarvis, and to help him out, of course. So Jarvis is basically his assistant in his projects to make other things, and his assistant, the other assistant, is to help him in business and business choices, and do like basically joining with other companies, bringing them under their umbrella and stuff, and supporting them. And yeah, so the next morning he basically exercises, basically takes a shower. He basically doesn't really go to school that much, and Ida doesn't really like him because he doesn't really come to school because he has responsibilities, but he ignores them because he's rich. And then Ida's also surprised to know that Tony Stark was actually the CEO of Stark Corporations, and he's surprised, like, no wonder he doesn't come to school because he has so much work to do. Now I finally understand. Why did he hide that from me? I'm his friend. So yeah, he goes to France, he sees their nuclear reactor, and he basically says, this is interesting. And the French people says, oh, so Tony Stark, can you give us some pointers to help us in our research? And he's like, okay, give me some time. And he basically opens up his watch because Jarvis is in there, and he says, Jarvis, scan this nuclear reactor. And he scans it, and he basically tells him the problems inside of it. He looks at all the details, and he said, I see. I can give you the details and make it smaller so it can be easier to make it stable. So he gives him, you can make it 2 times smaller, and that is the best I can do. I won't be able to create this and finish this project, so I might even create something different that is similar to it, but not that. But of course, this is a lie because he's figured it out already, how he needs to basically make it smaller and make it infinitely more usable. So he keeps this to himself. He's like, I'm just gonna tell them that the problem that they're having is because the reactor is just too big and they need to make it smaller. So I'm just gonna give them a little hint to make it 2 times smaller, and that still won't be enough to make it infinitely better and make it infinite source of energy, which is not that infinite. It just works for a year, and then after a year he needs to charge it again, and it works. So yeah, it's one of the best energies that is useful, and he's already figured out how to make it really small into a reactor, but he doesn't tell them because he's like, haha, I'm gonna win and you're gonna lose. So he basically gets out of there and basically knows how to do this, and asks Jarvis that, is his suit ready? And he's like, yes, it is ready. And it's like, okay, make it outside and basically show it to me when I get there. He gets there, he sees the suit, he's like, amazing, this color is amazing. Jarvis, is there any kinks in flying or anything like that? So he's like, there are not. There are no problems in flight testing, so you should be able to fly anytime soon after your reactor or energy source is ready. And that's it for part 1. I hope you guys liked it. Make sure to like because it really does help the channel out. Part 2 will come out tomorrow, I think. Yeah, I'll do it tomorrow because I'm really excited by this. And that's like 22 minutes. I don't know how long it is for you guys, but that's 22 minutes, and it's one of the longest videos I've ever created on this channel because I love this idea. I love it very much, and I love basically doing something with Deku, makes him smarter, make him quirkless, never getting one for all or something like that. Love this series. Hope Plotsulot can actually allow me to use his regeneration therapy because it's really important in the series, and it will be important. So make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and as always, Anime Junkie out.